In tonight's episode, I want to take a different stance on the entire cost of living crisis and all of this sort of content. You see, in the past couple of days, I've been taking a lot of time to discuss these matters. I've spent a lot of time talking about how the economy is worse for young people and how a lot of things that would have once been taken for granted are now seen as luxurious opportunities. Whilst a lot of that is true, I believe that there's a hidden side to the entire situation that most people are not talking about. Now here's the thing, before we enter this video, I want to make it blatantly obvious and blatantly known that certain things are simply unaffordable. Certain things which are not privileges but almost rights, almost necessities, are now unaffordable. And it is still, either way, undeniable that the richest are getting richer, whilst most people, not even the poorest, most people are getting poorer. But here's the thing, right? So when we talk about a standard of life in today's economy, it means a lot of things. People don't necessarily just want to get by. People want more luxurious things today. And it's not people's faults, and this is what I want to outline. This is a cycle of consumerism which is pushed in today's society, in today's economy. Because the more money you spend, the more profit big companies can make off you. And here's a great thing for them and the terrible thing for us. When people can't afford things that they want in the aims of keeping up with society, keeping up with their friends and all of their peers, people turn to credit and debt, which is even better for the rich, because think about it, you buy something with a 20% extra essentially tax or tariff on it. If you're paying 20% interest, you're basically paying 20% more than the product is worth. That's what people who own the products want. They get to sell their products for more money, and you are under the illusion that you can afford something that you can't. And that brings us into the kind of crux of today's issue. What a lot of people expect in life is quite high. I think in today's market, the idea of owning a house, owning a car, owning a quite new car, is seen as almost a given right. And yeah, owning a house or having a house to live in is a necessity. But here's the thing, right? We have an emphasis on ownership, or an emphasis on having things that we can't necessarily afford. Now here's the thing, I made a video the other day talking about the housing market, and how for a lot of people renting is the only option, and there is no way to really buy a house of their own. When I made that video, a lot of people were saying that there is a way to buy a house. And here's the thing, a mortgage is a thing, a mortgage always has been a thing, right? But a lot of people who get a mortgage still can't afford the property, right? They just can't. That's why they're buying it on a mortgage, so they either have to pay it back over 30 years, or they might even default before that. Now, what am I trying to say here? A lot of the reason why maybe not most, but a lot of the reason why a lot of people are struggling is because of a lifestyle inflation trend, right? It's a simple lesson in money that richer people use their capital to buy assets and poorer people use it to buy liabilities. For instance, if you don't have an abundance of money, do not finance a new car. I know people who've gone out there, and even at my age of 21, right? I know people who've gone out and financed cars which are in the middle 5 figures, right? We're talking maybe between 30 and 60,000 pounds. You're trapping yourself. You're buying a debt, right? The car's going to go down in value. It makes no sense. Properties. Yes, property is potentially a good investment, but number one, past returns are not an indication of future ones. And also, what is the actual cost of the necessity to own a home, right? Let's say that the economy is declining in the UK, for example, something that we've spoken about recently. If you don't own a property, you do have the potential to possibly move a lot easier, right? You're not fixed to a geographical location for 20 or 30 years. So what is my point here? The reason why a lot of people are struggling is because of bad financial decisions. It's not because of their fault, but here's the thing, we live in a society that pushes consumerism. People are told to make more and more money, and then they're told that they need to buy this new Audi, or they need to have a house. It's a sign of success. But here's the thing, people do not ask what suits them best. And by the way, I am not talking about the absolute brokest people out there. When you're in that position, there's not really much choice. But people who make, let's say, 25 and above, right? I'm not saying that is an abundance of money, but here is the thing. It could be enough to have some savings on if you're willing to either make sacrifices or go for a different lifestyle. You know, it's one thing that I've said in all of my videos that I film in my car. My car is 30 years old. Yes, that comes with some more maintenance problems, but I bought the car for £1,600 and it's basically not broken at all. People out here are paying that in monthly payments, and they're wondering where all the money goes. All whilst they are getting priced out of assets, giving them even less hope to own it. You know, think about it. I'm not saying that a house is going to be affordable for everybody, but is your money best in a property? Or is it best in a stock? Or is it best investing in your business? Or is it best having it in cash savings? Now, I am not a financial advisor, and I don't intend to be. I don't want to be. It's none of my business. But here's the thing. People don't ask the questions. People don't ask, is this actually right for me? Because people follow a sort of traditional path which they're told works. And for a lot of people it does. But for a lot of people it doesn't. There's going to be some people watching this video who genuinely, for them, a 9-to-5 job probably won't work. There's going to be some people who genuinely owning a property probably isn't the best move. There's going to be some people who really just shouldn't be buying the stuff that they are buying, because we live in a society where consumerism is pushed. Consumerism pushes the economy forwards, and it's like I've said before, it seems that we live in today in almost a debt economy, a debt-based economy. We're pushed to spend. We're pushed to get ourselves into debt with money that we don't have, i.e. buying a house on a mortgage. Because here's the thing, right? And I know a lot of people say it's a stupid way of analysing it, but do you actually own a house on a mortgage? Don't pay your mortgage for 3-4 months and then we'll see who owns the house, right? Are you really buying into a system that you enjoy? Or are you buying into a lifestyle that you're told is normal? Will you look back in 20, 30 years and be glad that you've made the decisions that you have, or not? And what is my point here? My point here is this. We talk about the cost of everything, we talk about inflation and debt, and it's all true. It's very obvious and almost a given fact that people now can buy less with their money than what they could have 30, 40 years ago. That is not something that should be ignored. It's not something that can be denied. But a lot of people expect a lot of stuff right out of the gate in terms of life, and they're not willing to either make sacrifices or even acknowledge whether it's worth it. You know, some people just do not need it, do not want it, and should not follow that kind of path. That's my humble opinion, but that is what I see with a lot of young people, especially. They get themselves into investments, which are really liabilities, and they're left dealing with the consequences for years. You know, £500 car payment a month, that could easily go to rent or a mortgage, if you want to get a mortgage, or it could easily go into a retirement fund or stocks or other investments. That, in my head, makes more sense. But people don't want to have this conversation because we live in a system which de-incentivizes it. We are not supposed to kind of think about whether it works for us, because if we start to think about it, a lot of us may realize, 40 hours to live a lifestyle buying things that don't matter, that you don't want, and that you won't remember in 5-10 years is almost not worth it. That's just my opinion. I want to know what you guys have to say down in the comments. Thank you.